We break down all the news and talk about all the tape review that we did this week next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
I'm going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. And also, rate the show 5 stars ever that you get your podcast. What is good, everybody? We have just a normal show today because for those out on YouTube, you might have seen we did a lot of all 22 reviews. And now if you go and try and search for them, YouTube blocked a lot of them. So they're not out there. So I'm not going to be going through any of the actual tape. We're just going to be reviewing what we saw in those hour-and-a-half live sessions that we had. Because we really broke down Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, Kyle Monangai. And I just want to revisit it, talk a little bit, and just kind of have like a overall summary with that. And also, since we've been doing live all 22 reviews, I wanted to just kind of recap what happened this week and different news articles that we kind of saw, just kind of put a little bow on it. Because I know I talked about it during the live streams, but it was like 6 hours of content that if you watched it all, true fan. And for those that were live, it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. I have to think about doing it again. I want to. But yeah, I just have to see because YouTube slapped me on the wrist a little bit for that. So, but yeah, let's just keep on going and let's break down the news. So first thing is this actually is not getting a lot of talk as much as I thought it would. So Joe Thuney news. Ryan Poles was on ESPN 1000, and what Ryan Poles talked about was really it's a matter of when Joe Thuney gets re-signed and gets extended to the Chicago Bears. So really does seem like this is different than the whole Keenan Allen situation, because with Keenan Allen, we had insiders saying, yeah, it seems like they are going to extend him. But now with Ryan Poles, he's like, yeah, we'll extend him. And when you look at this, they have it in the works. So now we just have to wait until the Bears actually do, in fact, extend Joe Thuney. My guess is it's probably going to be matching all the other offensive linemen out there. So like with Drew Dahlman having a 3-year deal, Jonah Jackson having a 3-year deal, and Darnell Wright having 2 years, 3 if they do the 5th-year option, which it seems like they would. So everybody's kind of lined up except for that left tackle position, which we'll talk about later. So kind of like something that we were expecting with Joe Thuney potentially being extended. Now we're just waiting on the actual true extension. It just seems like it's in the waiting. And especially when you have Ryan Poles, the GM, talking about that they're going to get something done, you can pretty much put it on the books. They're going to extend Joe Thuney. But now next, I want to talk a little bit about the whole Nick Chubb news. Now on a lot of the live streams, if you watch those, you might have heard my opinions on Nick Chubb. I even talked a little bit about that after the whole draft. My whole idea with Nick Chubb is I know he's a great name, and I know that there's, people kind of getting excited. There's like the rumors buzzing around. I don't know about you all, but I'm not really here for the Nick Chubb pieces, just because Nick Chubb, we kind of saw him go down a little bit. Like he just did not look the same. Yes, he's working out and he's posting all those workout videos, but my whole thing is I'm fine if they bring him in just to kind of see what he looks like. But when we talk about Kyle Monangai, we'll really kind of dive into why I think that they really should just kind of put the whole signing a running back on hold and just kind of see who's available. Because, spoiler alert, what we'll talk about later, Kyle Monangai, a lot of us watching, we're like, geez, this guy is really good. And I already liked Monangai before, but just watching all the different games of him really, 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 really made a difference. And that's why to me, I just feel like kind of just pause, wait till you can truly see these guys, and then make a decision. Because right now, also with free agents, I like Jamal Williams more than, say, a Nick Chubb. I also, I've heard that Nick Chubb is great in the locker room, everything like that. But also, too, it's like to have him, or even like J.K. Dobbins. Dobbins has just been a okay running back, but yet again, don't really love any of these running backs out there. So that's why I kind of like if you can try to run it with some of the people that you already have. So that's my take. If you're all for Nick Chubb, let me know. I just really haven't seen a lot of people really kind of gung-ho with this whole Nick Chubb piece. But then next, last little bit of news before we get into the tape and kind of discuss that more. the whole left tackle battle. Because I know that a lot of people were talking about, well, is Darnell Wright going to switch over to left? But Ryan Poles talked about it and brought up that, it does seem like Darnell Wright is going to stay at that right tackle spot. And it's going to be Ozzie Trapillo trying to fight for that left tackle spot. Also, Karana Magaji probably going to be getting some of those first team reps as well, because Braxton Jones is going to miss some time in minicamp. We kind of knew this, but the big news is more so Ozzie Trapillo kind of getting some of those reps at left tackle, because he was really more of a right tackle, or played right tackle last season, played some left a couple seasons before, but really kind of found a home at that right tackle spot. Now, I like this. I have heard people say that they're not big fans of this. If you disagree with me, or if you agree with me, let me know. What are you excited to see with Ozzie Trapillo? Because to me, I really like him. And I've said this before, I like the high floor. I think he's going to be a good player. And I saw, Brandon Thorne, who's one of the top offensive line scouts, saying that Ozzie Trapillo is the most pro ready. And I definitely agree with him. Just from the stuff that I've seen with him, he just seems pro ready. And everything you hear, just smart guy. I do question the ceiling. That's where, to me, if you can just get a competent level backup, competent level player while Braxton Jones is trying to nurse back from an injury, I love that. So I personally love that the left tackle spot you have questions on. And also, when you look at the depth chart, to me, Brian Poles was talking more about just having that consistency. And I think that's key, because like we said, if Joe Thuney gets extended, you have 3 years for the left guard, center, right guard, and right tackle. To me, keep those 4 together. Only have one question mark. Only have the left tackle as a question mark. And that's why I don't love if you move Darnell Wright over to the left-hand side, right? Just have that left tackle be that spot that you're trying to just figure it out. Because, ideally you'd want it to be perfect. But to me, let them battle it out at left tackle. And at least if you just have one spot that, you kind of have a question on, you can have the tight end chip. You can have the running back kind of help a little bit more on that side in pass protection. You can do things to protect a left tackle. And even when Braxton Jones is back, then you feel a little bit better. So to me, I like that they're at least giving them a chance at that left tackle spot, because Braxton Jones, 1 year left. So yeah, why not try them all at left tackle, see what you got? Because to me, that just seems right. That just seems like the right type of thing to do. So let's go to the main topic that I know a lot of people were waiting for, the tape review. Like I said, I had a lot of that tape out there, got blocked by YouTube with it. So if you saw it, awesome. Basically what we did was we really just focused in on the playmakers. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, and Kyle Monangai, all offensive playmakers. And I think we watched like 8 games of Colston Loveland, or 8 games of Luther Burden, 7 of Colston Loveland, and 5 of Kyle Monangai. So we watched a lot. And while we were watching it, I was just asking everybody who was there, just how do you feel about this player? Do we feel better? Do we feel worse? And that's really why I wanted to kind of also have this show, just to talk about what we saw, and just as a consensus, how we all felt like as fans that were just watching our players. Because to me, I'll start out with Colston Loveland. And the moral of the story, when we're watching him, we loved him. Absolutely loved him. And just blew us away. And the biggest thing is it emphasizes everything that we were talking about. This is the draft guide that I already had set up. It is that receiving is his strength. And you just see that. He's one of the best route runners. He's a better route runner than Luther Burden. You just really see it pop on tape. He's just always getting open. And while I was watching the tape, I just kept laughing, because I'm like, why doesn't Michigan just literally throw it to this guy every single time? And when you watch him too, it really does silence that whole, like, I hate that Cole Kmet isn't being shown in a lot of graphics or things like that. Because to me, Cole Kmet, when you see Cole is that inline guy. Colston Loveland, when we were watching him, it just emphasized, like I had in the draft guide, I don't see him as an inline tight end right now. Colston Loveland could bulk up and then maybe be that, but he's just a very light tight end. Even though he's 248, he plays with that lack of functional strength. But man, crisp routes. This guy's going to get open at the tight end spot. And the only time that we saw good coverage on him was John A. Barron from Texas on him. But besides that, who was a first round, like good size to him. But besides that, if a linebacker's on him, he's going to cook him. Just absolute crazy. And also, too, we watched him back to back with Tyler Warren because we just wanted to see the comparison. And you just see Warren is that true inline tight end. Big size, powerful, very good blocker. Colston Loveland, more that receiver. And now when it comes down to the blocking, Colston Loveland, very, very good when it comes down to like a defensive back, a linebacker, right? With that, like we were talking about, fundamentally a good blocker. You can see some great traits with him. But when he was asked to kind of take on a defensive lineman, yes, that's always a mismatch, but you really saw the lack of strength there. So to me, if he's just playing out wide, because he played out wide a lot at Michigan, he kind of switched over to the slot, could play in the backfield. He did all sorts of different things. He was always on the move. So to me, that's why when you see it, when we were watching it, we're like, yep, that's why Ben Johnson loves this guy. The only other negative, we did not see him really, he does not break tackles. And that's where I've always kind of said his ceiling to me is a lot lower than like, say, the Brock Bowers, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, because all those can break tackles. Colston Loveland, he's fast, he can read blocks, but he doesn't necessarily make people miss. But man, just the cherry on top. He just sincerely was such a fun watch. We all had like the top level of just feeling the best when we were watching him because, man, like you understand now. Like after we were watching Warren versus him, you're like, okay, Bears wanted a receiver. They get that with Colston Loveland. So now let's actually talk about the receiver, Luther Burden. Like we said, this guy we probably watched the most games on. And we watched him 2013 and 2014. And the thing that we saw with the 2013 film was we just did not see a refined route runner. But in the 2014 film, even though that he had less and worse stats, you really did see a giant jump with how he was running routes from 2023 to 2024. And I kept bringing this up during the stream that he was a true sophomore when we were watching him in 2023. Now a true junior in 2024. So you do see, like, you have to remind yourself just how young this guy is and the way that he was running some of these routes or got better at running those routes, the better. So as 2023 film, I even like comped it to some, like, you know, you're playing Thanksgiving against the cousins and everything like that. Like he runs a cousin route, not a true NFL route. But in 2024, you started to see that. So it just emphasized what I was talking about with just the good enough route runner, but you want to see him better. Also too, you could tell whenever, like I made a joke on the stream, you could tell when he was going to be the number one read. And that was the thing. Like we were all saying on the stream, coaching. Because when he was the second option, the third option, you just did not see him truly run the route the way that it was meant to be ran. So that's where it's going to be a big time thing with Antoine Randall to really get the most out of him. Because here's the other thing. When the ball was in his hands, good night. Like just an absolute different player with the ball in his hands. And when you watch every single play, like what we were doing, you saw when he was running his routes, just kind of jogging with some of those and just the lack of effort on a lot of those, which turns a lot of people off. But in 2024, we saw more effort than he had in 2023. And that's where it's going to be on the coaching staff to really kind of get that stuff out of him. Because, man, when the ball's in his hands, he's electric. The way he moves. And, you know, what's really good about him is he's not asked to be the number one receiver. I think if he was put in that position, you might see a little bit of worse play out of him. But it's just so skillful, so fast, so quick. It wasn't as impressive as like Colston Loveland. I think some of us, myself included, were slightly disappointed when you're watching all that tape on him. But still, you see the traits. And that's really what Luther Burden is about. Just traitsy playmaker. But man, when he gets the ball in his hands, it's just fun. And you know that that's exactly what they want to do with him. But now, speaking of someone who was a lot of fun, the fun guy, Kyle Monangai, this was a guy that I'm sad that the stream got cut down because if you saw that, I was just gushing over Kyle Monangai. Like the way that he plays, the thing that really stood out to me when we were watching Kyle Monangai wasn't just the angry runs, because that's what you see on his highlight films, right? You see just the aggression that he plays with, that he never wants to go down. But this guy has tremendous vision. And I really, really want to highlight that. Just the Rutgers had some of the worst blocking we've ever seen. And it does not even look like the Bears. The Bears look like the Philadelphia Eagles compared to what he had to deal with at Rutgers. I'm not exaggerating. Like literally every time he was getting the ball, right? We watched 5 games. Every time that this guy touched the ball, there was some guy in the backfield that was going after him, and he had to break a tackle and then go. Or he had to make some quick little decisions, or the way that the blocks were forming. He has low-key great vision, and I don't think enough people are talking about that. Obviously, he didn't fumble the football. You did see some of that slower speed on tape, but there were some times that you kind of like forgot about that. Like he kind of did some quick little moves and was able to do some pretty good stuff. And quite frankly, it's the more that we were watching this guy, this is where we're all like, yeah, don't sign a running back. Don't sign a running back yet. See what this guy can do. Because yeah, I don't think he's going to be a super all-star type of a player, but man, he's just a good gritty player. And in pass pro did pretty well. There were some plays that weren't great, and everybody sees the highlights of him just jacking people up because he's just an aggressive guy. But I just really like him. The other thing too is he ran some pretty good routes, like as a actual running back coming out of the backfield. But something that was crazy is even though he breaks a lot of tackles behind the line of scrimmage and in between the tackles, when he was out there, like out wide in open field, like on a reception, I think we only saw him break like 1 tackle. So yeah, just really an in between the tackles type of a runner, just very good vision, something that that Ben Johnson's going to really like. So to me, I don't think you need to sign a running back, but if you believe that we need to, let me know down in the comments if you're watching out there on YouTube. But I wanted to just throw this together because haven't had a show, an actual audio only and video show in about a week, like since the draft, basically, since we did those draft grades. But really, as we're watching this, like they're good players, right? It was just a super fun watch. Like I said, I might try and do some more all 22. I just have to see what exactly YouTube said to me. So I'll have to just double check that. But if you appreciate that, if you appreciate the all 22 and everything like that, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel tremendously. Also, make sure to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell too. Because if I do go live with the all 22, it might just be a live only exclusive this time around, just so that we at least kind of get that out there. But yeah, lots of stuff planned. But with that, have a great weekend. Unbearable Sports Podcast. We are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and you know that she